Welcome, Adam Dawson, to the Wholesome Crypto Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and we know you from working on different projects such as the HumanDAO. But before we get into all that fun jazz of, how you got into crypto and your projects, I want to learn more about you and kind of like, where were you before even hearing about cryptocurrency, and like, what were you studying and what was your mindset before this technology even appeared into your life?
Yeah, I'm a structural engineer by trade, but I've done a number of different things. My professional career, I call it jumping from one crumbling pillar to another. So I graduated smack bang into the depths of the GFC, and I was recruited as a graduate and then made redundant before I even started that job. And it was kind of like that for a number of years. Big corporate mergers, macro collapses. I was working in big resources projects, very capital intensive, and so just big shifts. And I was always had to be on my game and networking and finding that next opportunity, because you never knew when you might get a phone call to say that your current project was stopping.
Oh, wow.
And
that's tough.
Didn't really know what was coming next. Yeah, so it was hard, but it forced me to learn a bunch of things, and as I say, network really broadly, get my name out there as best I could, and pick up a bunch of useful skills, I suppose, so I could be useful in a number of different areas and different roles.
Were you always into the tech industry and like what's going on the internet, or were you still like a hardware mechanical person?
I mean, probably not from a deep tech perspective. I mean, I just grew up with the internet, started with dial-up internet. They used the phone line and things, and played chess on Yahoo Games and talked to friends on ICQ.
Good times.
Some sort of that kind of vintage.
Yeah, and you're based in Australia, right? So you guys didn't even use AOL or AIM that much.
Yeah, AOL didn't make it out. MSN Messenger was the first one that really took off. So ICQ was kind of niche, and that was a bit awkward and clunky to get onto. But then, MSN definitely took it mainstream. So my high school years were dominated by instant messaging. That's where I learned to touch type and to be efficient on a computer keyboard, was just chatting on Messenger. Yeah, I mean, constantly.
I had keyboard class in high school, so that's definitely interesting now thinking about it. I'm like, it's fluent to me without even thinking about it. But I guess keyboard class did help some sort.
Yeah, I don't do the proper touch typing. I remember we had some clunky, dorky software that we used to learn to touch type, and in the end I think most of us just got our practice by chatting after school.
Well, I'm glad that it's also always an amazing thing for me is I'm so thankful to grow up with the internet, and it's kind of a deep understanding of appreciation for it, and the want for just that robust, clean, and give as little as possible to give the best response online. Because right now it's all just full of different banners and colors, and make the splash page just explode in your face. Wow, look at this, and a lot of flashing lights. I'm I just want clean, simple, and fast loading pages. I'm tired of fighting my browser. But
I can still remember the old GeoCities days and people learning animated GIFs for the first time and just adding it to everything. And these horrible banner ads and the dark ages of the internet.
It's all a learning curve, but thanks to that's where we are here today. So it's always fun. But you got into you're in this industry, working at your regular job. At what point did you hear about Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything blockchain related?
Yeah, I can remember a podcast on the way to work. It was when Bitcoin hit $100. And I can remember thinking, who are these idiots buying this imaginary internet money for $100? And so that was kind of my first chance to go down the rabbit hole, and I missed it. And then I was at a conference in 2019. It was a concrete industry one, and smart contracts in construction came up as a topic. And I was really interested and started asking some questions, but I didn't really keep pulling on the threads when I got back home. And so I sort of missed Ethereum then. And then it wasn't until last year I had a little bit of money to invest, and I started looking at typical stocks and things, and then going a little bit further along the risk curve and considering crypto. And that was, I guess, like where I started, like most people probably do, is bought some crypto, and then it wasn't long before I realized that actually, hang on, there's this whole layer underneath this of people and human coordination. And it reminded me of my early passions at my first job. I've always done things in parallel to my day job and put a lot of extra effort in. And so, I got very into running a graduate development program. So it's a global young professionals program that I was tasked with managing. And I just saw so many similarities to that, just the energy and this sort of frontier, people wanting to learn and develop really quickly, and being able to move without some of the constraints of the typical hierarchy, a very flat organization. So that I felt very comfortable, in DAOs and in those kind of very fluid, startup-y, energetic organizations.
Yeah, and so it sounds like the tech that blockchain had to offer was what really triggered you, because some people just saw that Bitcoin is a monetary asset. It's going up in price, going down in price, and they just see it as a trading commodity. Like, great, like I can make money off this. But it sounds like the tech is what really drove home to you, and it's kind of what attracted you, because you said Ethereum and like smart contracts and layering was what's appealing.
Yeah, the whole premise of Bitcoin, I probably only came to understand later as I explored more in the crypto space. It was, the ability to automate and the composability of smart contracts and things that I think was most interesting to me. And that's kind of where I've wound up now in some of the roles that I'm doing in the space. It's in the Web3 social era, and that new technology and the way that sort of layers and comes together in like composable open source modules that has really kind of captured my interest.
And was there anyone else around you, like friends, family, that was also into Bitcoin or any blockchain technologies? It was just, were you the one that's trying to preach?
Most of them don't even have any idea that I'm remotely involved in this. It's kind of a completely separate persona. I got a little bit of swag. I have my rabbit hole hoodie on that I got sent from East Denver because I was doing some work with that team.
I was there. That's awesome.
But it's nice. But yeah, it's kind of my only link between my real world, real person self, and my online, AdamDawson.eth crypto persona. Yeah. So to me, they're very much one and the same, but to most of my friends and family and colleagues, they're that online persona doesn't even exist. They've got no idea what I do with my evenings.
They're just working on the computer doing some stuff. Who knows?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's funny. And all right, so now like you said, you got into Rabbit Hole and other projects that you're working on. So I think you're working on the HumanDAO. You also worked in Orbis and Developer DAO. So what about each of those projects kind of attracted you to, go in there? Because like you said, it is your hobby. And for me, I'm the same way. When I find something interesting, I'm like, yes, I'll do whatever. Like I'm down. I just want to be part of it somehow. But you got to pick and choose at a point, because it does become overbearing. Yeah. So what about those really interested you?
Yeah, I think initially I was just looking for a way in. So, listening to podcasts, and I was joining some Discord servers and just trying to find, who are my kind of people and where do I fit in all of this? And then at that time, it was Anthony Sassano, the Daily Gwei podcast that he does. That sort of was where I learned a lot of things and first felt like, okay, these are the values that make sense to me. And someone in there mentioned a project which was HumanDAO. And I started reading about it, and I saw a lot of parallels to what I'd done previously with, that sort of grassroots community organization and development. And so I went deep and read through all the documents, and I was really interested. I jumped in their Discord, and they were launching a token. So everyone's spamming questions left, right, and center. And I knew the answers because I'd read the documentation. So I just started answering them. And then, someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Oh, can you do this for us? We need to create this white paper about what we're doing. Can you write it for us? And so I did, and then that just it snowballed from there. Kind of one thing led to another, and it's I liked it. As I say, I like those kind of organizations. If you're really ambitious and want to, it's more meritocratic. So if you stand out, you can rise up to the top really, really quickly, and that's what really got me in.
Yeah, and that's what I always try to tell people on the show or anyone that's listening. If you really want to get into crypto, the best way is just to get into the chats, know the product well, and help answer questions, and you will be noticed. You will be noticed. People will need more people like you because this whole industry is very, very community based. The more people helping each other, out, the more likely the project will succeed. Other than what we have like nowadays, like a lot of VCs are in there, but the ones that are like community based are still my favorite. So it's like, what you do is, as you've noticed, was noticed and appreciated by the community. And as soon as they started, asking you for help, how was that experience for you? Were you like, oh shit, like I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm gonna give it my all? Or was this something that you felt like comfortable and ready to go and attack?
Yeah, I guess I did feel fairly comfortable because I was bringing, I'm not 20 anymore. I was kind of coming in with like 15 years of experience in professional roles and working with various like grassroots organizations and things. And so a lot of it felt very similar to me, but obviously no one knows who I am. They don't know or care about that history. And so it was kind of nice that you're measured by your results and what you can produce and the quality of that. So wherever I saw things that I felt like I could do a good job of, I would put my hand up and I would do it. And sure enough, it went well, and I got noticed as someone that was confident with some of these tasks. And that was when I got asked to come on, to be part of the core builder team as their content lead and be that go-to person for their messaging and their writing.
This is for HumanDAO?
Yeah, for HumanDAO.
Can you give us a little bit of like background of what HumanDAO is for anyone who doesn't know?
Yeah, so HumanDAO's mission is improving lives through crypto. So we're working in underserved communities around the world, basically trying to connect those people to the new opportunities in Web3. So there's so much happening. I think, as we all know, there's so many projects and things people wanting to build and create. You have this phenomenal population of the world who are just searching for opportunity to improve their own lives, to earn more money, to find more freedom. And we're kind of trying to be the bridge between those two worlds. So our vision is to be that place that anyone can come, even if they don't know the first thing about crypto or blockchain or Web3 or whatever. They can learn the basics, they can start finding roles, they can start contributing, and eventually build their way up to having, really valuable specialized skills that they can, perform full-time roles. They can earn, real money to pay their bills and look after their families. And they can also, start investing and building their own portfolio and some financial independence.
And what parts of the world it's a global industry, I know that, but like what parts of the world are most affected by it now?
Yeah, our community is predominantly in the Philippines. Okay. So I guess we really built out of the, Axie Infinity and play to earn craze, which really took hold there. And for like thousands and thousands of people, that was this first inkling that, oh, hang on, there's this whole online world here of new opportunity. And you sort of match people that have the time with people that, need that and can leverage that. And all of a sudden, you can generate a tremendous amount of value. And so that brought, as I say, like tens of thousands of people, possibly hundreds of thousands of people into the space. And then as, the economics changed and the token prices went down, it left a lot of them going, okay, like some just left,
oh, wow.
But a lot stayed and went, okay, I've got a taste of this. What else can I do? What can I do now? And that's what the sort of people that HumanDAO are hoping to appeal to and, hold on to. As the play to earn opportunities go down, but there's still a vast world of different opportunities if you can develop those skills and confidence in the Web3 world.
And is there any specific project within the HumanDAO that stands out as a good example?
Yeah, well, we're working on one now, about to launch it. It's called our Pocket Assistance. Okay. And so it's similar to, I suppose, other gig economy companies in that it's a pool of people that are available to contribute, and you buy an NFT, and that's kind of your lifetime digital membership card to access help from this pool of assistance in our community. And so we were overrun by applicants. We had over 1,200 come in and say they wanted to be part of it. So we actually had to shut it down early. We've ended up with, I think, about 125 so far that have gone through some assessments and some sort of short exams just to make sure that they've got the skills and the willingness and are able to contribute. And so they're kind of ready, and then we're launching the NFTs soon to be available for people to buy. And we think it's going to be just a great thing for people to buy and own. They can free up some time. We have this pool of people who just would love to invest some of their time in starting to build some skills in this world, and it's work they can do safely. They can do it from home. They can do it flexibly, and meanwhile, they're getting involved in a whole new world.
That's such a good feeling, like working on something like that and seeing such a huge group of people ready to be part of the community. That's very rewarding in itself.
Yeah, we were overwhelmed. We didn't really know, I suppose, just how it would translate, because it's something different. A lot of people, you see this job for a DAO, they probably haven't even seen that acronym before. But I think it just shows that there are this huge population of people that are looking for opportunities like that. And it's something like 1.9 billion people earning less than $20 a day around the world. So you just imagine the power of that. If you can connect them like through the internet, you can do jobs from anywhere for anyone. If you can, motivate them, train them, connect them to those opportunities, just the possibilities are endless.
It's pretty amazing. And like you said, there's so much opportunity the internet gives. And now that there's a means of payment that's not regulated through governments, you can actually pay people for doing work, for helping out in your project all over the world. And that's totally changing the game. It's the global gig economy. I think it's beautiful. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah. And I think the really neat thing about it is that, I guess, unlike your sort of traditional, maybe Web 2 gig economy, where it's almost like a race to the bottom, and whoever's willing to do the work for the least amount of money gets it. We can do things very differently with a token economy. And so HumanDAO has a token. So as well as people earning, stable coin wages, they'll also earn tokens in the DAO. And so over time, the more you work, the more you grow your influence and your ability to vote on proposals, to put proposals forward, to influence the future of your own workplace. And that just is, you'd never see that, as an Uber driver, you don't earn Uber shares.
No, you don't really earn anything. You earn dollars, and a lot of attention from Uber.
So when we really want to do things differently with that, if you don't show up to pick up someone for Uber, then someone else will come in and take your place. Whereas we really want to, as I say, develop people and give them progression. So it's not just a matter of, if you don't do this task, someone else will. It's how do we take you from, working in these generic tasks with the pocket assistance to, developing some specific skills. Like maybe you want to be a community manager or a social media manager or a developer or a graphic designer.
Yeah.
So how do we equip you with those skills and then help sell you to the world of crypto and the world of Web3 to find more specialized opportunities.
It's amazing. And definitely very appreciate it from, I'm sure people who are part of it, there's just glad to have that opportunity. So you can sense that, and that's the kind of people you want on your team. So other than the HumanDAO, what else are you working on? Because I know you have your hands in a few projects.
I wear a few different hats. I try to make them so they sort of all have things in common, which is great. You can play off them. So the other big one is Orbis, which is a totally different world. So I'm the community manager there, and so Orbis recently launched on mainnet on Ceramic.
Nice.
So it's an open source Web3 social protocol. So it sort of has these modules which you can kind of plug and play and build together like social Legos to create either your own social network or add capabilities into your website to talk to people, to facilitate discussion forums or chats, or basic social graph features like having followers, and we can do things like token gated features and channels and voting and things as well.
Yeah, I've seen that's kind of a hot topic now, like with Lens Protocol, Orbis, CyberConnect, and even like other social platforms like GM.xyz. There's a big push for disrupting the social network industry, kind of having your own data that you can not only just use on one specific platform, but also take with you anywhere you go. And that's pretty key as to you're not dependent on a platform in any way in terms of staying online, live, stable. You have no idea if maybe their owners have become corrupt and changed the whole entire messaging system of their front end. It's just like at least you can control that data. So what about Orbis kind of really attracted you? What it's trying to solve?
Yeah, it was. I mean, honestly, initially I was just attracted to the people working on it, and so actually it came through HumanDAO. So someone who had seen what I was doing with HumanDAO was involved with Orbis. They were looking for a community person, and he'd seen what I was doing over there and said, maybe you can help out here. And
that's great.
Yeah, I just liked it. Baptiste, who created Orbis, and he's the founder and the dev who made it all, just had this really infectious energy. He moves so fast. It's like a new feature every day. I tried to document what Orbis could do at one stage, and it was like out of date before I even finished it.
That's so funny.
And so I just
that's wild.
Really good environment to work
in.
It
is funny because you just pretty much hit the nail on the head. Like the tech scene is moving so fast, and just documenting it it's hard, and it's hard to keep up with it because it's like I just finished typing this up and explaining it really easily for everyone else, and all of a sudden it's redone or there's a new update for it, kind of changes it. And it's like, gosh, here we go again. But that's
and I find that that whole Web3 social world, it took me a long time to get my head around it, and now I see a lot of people doing the same thing. They're kind of asking, what's the next Twitter or what's the next Instagram? And the answer is it's not going to be like a 1-for-1 replacement. The truth is, like, every single person on earth could have their own bespoke social app that does exactly what they want it to do. But it's all querying the same central layer of data. And so you could have your very own version that's, it's your algorithm, or it's specifically this topic, or you can chop and change. I want the really noisy app today that shows me everything, or I want the really focused one that just shows me what these people are talking about. And I think the tooling's only going to accelerate. You'll probably be able to create your own, little portal into this vast social graph that's building up on these decentralized networks.
Nice. Yeah, and it's definitely something that's beautiful because you can, like you said, you can have a platform where it's mostly just dev talk and like developers hanging out, chatting about what they're working on, kind of like a Stack Overflow. But you can also bring all your followers from that page into somewhere else where it's just like mainstream news, world news, what's happening now, and kind of like discuss your own personal opinions or whatever you want to state in either of those forums. But you can have the followers come with you to both sides, and they can choose which side of you they want to listen to. If they think you're annoying in the news and politics, but they really like your development skills. So it's
and I think if you then add the layer of the top of things like verified credentials, and that means you can actually bring a different persona to each one as well. And maybe in this setting, I want people to know that I studied at this university and I have this professional credential, but maybe in this one I want them to know what DAOs I've worked for and what skills I have in blockchain. And being out, you will be able to sort of pick and choose what you bring to each conversation, which again is something that I think is hard to get your head around, but one day it will just be commonplace.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. It's right, getting getting the front end working very smoothly where no one really knows they're even using blockchain that much. Getting it smooth without having to sign everything so actively.
Well, that's kind of the Orbis point of difference is it's built on ceramic, so it's not actually, the data isn't on a blockchain, it's on a decentralized data network. And so you do one connection of your wallet to create your sort of ID, but then after that there's no more. You don't see MetaMask again after that.
That's good.
It's all it's very smooth. It feels like posting on a Twitter or a Facebook or something like that. So which is what we sort of want to create, is that same, take the friction away, abstract all of that decentralization away, but you still got the portability and the composability of it. So if you decide you don't like, Orbis.club, you can go somewhere else, or you can build your own and access the data in a different way.
Nice. Yeah, having your own data is key. So what is your third hat? That was your first two hats. You said you had three hats.
Yeah. So I was wearing a rabbit hole hat for a little while. I did some experiments in the world of meta governance and sort of really trying to create, I suppose, almost like governance as a service, because they owned a lot of tokens in various protocols. They wanted to fulfill their governance responsibilities to the best that they could, and so they appointed some specialists to spend time in those communities and kind of report back and make recommendations on, here's how Rabbit Hole should vote to represent their values in this community. So we did that for a while. It was a good experiment. It's sort of been on hiatus for a little while now. And then an opportunity came up with Developer DAO, and that was a talent coordinator role, which again, very similar to what I'd done in the past, bringing on contributors and volunteers to grassroots networks. And in a way, it's very similar to what I do with Orbis, trying to get people excited about using the protocol. So yeah, they put the call out there in the newsletter, just a couple of hours a week. And I thought, that's something I know how to do. So I put forward a little framework together and said, this is how I would do the role. And they liked it and said, yeah, come and help out. Nice. So that officially kicks off soon.
Congrats. Yeah, it's exciting. And during your experience working in different projects and also working your normal job, what has been the most surprising to you in terms of work style and being in such a in an industry that's construction and living that lifestyle, working the normal day job and moving into these type of hobbies and working in those hobbies? What has been an interesting or something maybe that's like a difference in work style and work ethics that you kind of just noticed and maybe enjoy or don't enjoy between the two?
Yeah, I've come from corporate world, big publicly listed companies in industries that don't move particularly quickly. And so, yes, they're innovative, but it takes time for all that to work through. So the speed with which some of these projects are moving is astonishing. So I like that part of it. It's, as you say, like sometimes the documentation falls behind. You can't get away with that when you're supplying construction products into hundreds of thousands of houses, but you can when you're experimenting on the bleeding edge of Web3 social. So that's very different. And I just like the culture of, especially being a remote contributor, that's just, people are totally comfortable with you being on camera or off camera, online or offline. There's no one's really, watching really closely what you're doing. It's all about the outcome and what do you deliver. And if you can deliver that outcome, we don't really care how you did it. It's much more meritocratic and less political.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Depends who you are and how loud you are.
It depends on the organization too.
But it's so true, because that's like my favorite part about the digital world, the Web3 world. It's just everyone wants to see proof of work. Like, you're doing your work, you're being good to other people, it's contributive to society, helpful for society, it's a public good. People love that. And it's not much more is needed after that. But in a corporate world, it's different. You got to kind of play the part, play the politics, make sure everything is going okay. And it's like, I know you got to do what you got to do, but it's yeah, during my experience in the Web3 world, it's been awesome. And yeah, my current day job is it's a mix between Web3 and Web2, but thankfully they're trying to keep it into the new generation of how you work online, and I'm really enjoying that. So that's pretty lucky. So yeah, I mean, you're like you said, you work on all these projects, but how do you know, crypto is a 24/7 industry. So how do you keep your sanity? How do you take a break? Like, what do you do outside of crypto and outside of work just to keep Adam sane, happy, and mentally healthy?
Yeah.
And physically healthy.
Yeah. So cycling is my passion outside of work. And so if I flip this camera around, you'd see there's a bike on an indoor trainer just behind it. And so, when that's kind of my escape, I do a lot of my best thinking on a bike. It's always been the way. And so, I'll switch off. I'll kind of flip the screen around. I'll fire up, a training program and I'll do that and put something else on.
Nice. How many, I guess for you, I was going to say miles, but how many kilometers
miles. Yeah.
do you go every
weekly? It's normally like 300 to 400 kilometers a week probably put in on the bike. Wow. So it's kind of a daily habit. And it definitely helps just be that break. But and I've got 3 young kids at home as well. So it's definitely a full life. But I find that the crypto and Web3 roles, I find that they are almost always like energy adders in my life. It's things I look forward to doing, and it makes me, it's that I think the speed of it and just the fact that we're doing new things and there's always something new to learn. So I actually find it to be, an adder, not necessarily something that drains me.
Absolutely. And this is the same for me for the podcast. It's like, it's a lot of work. I don't get paid for it, but I'm enjoying it because I get to meet people like you and just, learn about the industry, learn about the people who are building everything that we're using. This is the future technology. So this is the best place to start. And you said you have 3 kids, and are you excited to teach them everything about crypto? Or are you going to try to push them into that tech scene, or are you going to be like, I've been easing them into the world of crypto. I have a daughter who is an aspiring artist, and so I've shown her kind of the world of NFTs and what you can do. I think that's really exciting, just the accessibility of some of this technology for like smaller artists. You don't necessarily have to know all the right people and things like that. Your work can kind of stand on its own, and again, it's that more meritocratic approach. So that really got her little brain ticking over, thinking about selling digital art and things like that. You gotta get them thinking about this early. So that's like when the most creative juices are happening. You're just like thinking and imagine what the future could lie, and you have the most time to actually practice and learn. Because I remember when I was like middle school, early on, even high school, I was just like anything I can get, anything electronic, because I'm an electrical engineer. Like, that's what I studied. And anything electronic, I'm like, I gotta figure out how this works. How does this toy car work? I'm like, I'm willing to break it into pieces just to learn. And if I could put it back together, like great, like I learned something. But like the reverse engineering part of things was always very exciting. And as a kid, like that's when you grow the most, is when someone gives you something like, oh, here, this is an NFT, this is digital art, this is what happens with it. And like you said, like getting her mind spinning. It's like, oh, this is what can be possible. Like, let me find a way to, make it into my own and hopefully start something new on our own.
Yeah. I mean, kids get this stuff better than adults because they don't have these preconceived notions. So you can tell them like, oh, I just have this online wallet and I have a bunch of money that's attached to it and I can send it to anyone in the world. And they go, cool, that makes total sense. Of course you can.
Why wouldn't you be able to? That makes perfect sense.
Precisely. So I think I'm excited about the world that they'll grow up in and some of the opportunities they might have.
That's going to be awesome. So now that, in the crypto industry, you've been seeing a lot. Community management is not an easy role, especially when people are disgruntled and upset. But what is your crypto pet peeve?
Yeah, like my pet peeve is that it's almost a sense of deja vu from what I'd seen in the corporate world of a lot of focus on perhaps the product and moving quickly, and not enough focus on building cultures that are going to be sustainable. And so you end up with things that are just tied into like one particular person, and if that person's not there, then the whole thing falls apart. And so I've tried to I've put in like, you know, papers and presentations and things to conferences, really all about, you know, inspiring volunteers and building sustainable cultures, organizational cultures. And I keep getting knocked back and sort of, oh, you know, this isn't relevant, or we've got too much of that. And I'm thinking it is relevant, and like that iceberg is coming when you realize that if you haven't built that sustainable culture around what you're doing, that people will they'll move on if they're not, they don't have that personal connection to it. They might stay while things are exciting, but then when things don't go well, if they don't have it, then they're going to find something else to move on to. And so it's really, really hard work to develop that. And it's something I've grappled with and struggled with in my own professional roles, with a certain style of building a team and leading that doesn't necessarily jibe well with particularly really short-term focused thinking that you can sometimes get in the corporate world. You know, have we hit our numbers today or this month or this year? Is that person developing fast enough, or are they not? So it's been a constant battle, I think, to create that space and that time to really build up and do the hard work early, and then you get the benefits later. So yeah, I see a lot of organizations kind of ignoring that, kind of speed running ahead. I can just sort of have seen that happen, that they hit the iceberg because they're not taking that time to really invest in the culture and the people and build.
Yeah, and that's so true, because people make everything, no matter what company you are in the world, Web 2, Web 3, whatever you're doing in person, digitally, the people make up your business. And some businesses are totally okay with just churning employees. Like, yep, train you for this much time. I expect you to be here for less than a year. I'll just train someone else to take your place afterwards, and just cycle through people. Or there's companies that really appreciate all their employees and kind of want them to love what they're doing and give them the opportunity to be the best version of themselves, to give the best version to the company. And like I said, the culture is key for that.
Yeah, I mean, my leadership training ground was all with volunteers. And so I was trying to get people to help me build this enormous global program. And, you know, we took it from 500 people to 5,000 in the space of 18 months and expanded all over the world. And it was a lot of work. And it really came down to investing that time one-on-one, understanding each individual's reasons and motivations and connecting that into the mission. And that just takes time. It's a lot of work. But I guess I'd always had that philosophy that I think that even when you are, you know, I got to be a manager and people were earning money, and you could just say, do it because I said so, or do it because you're being paid to do it. But I'd always approached it with okay, let's imagine everyone's a volunteer and they can leave at any moment with no cost to them, which in reality these days with things like LinkedIn, most people probably could leave at the drop of a hat. It's not hard to flag yourself as open, and you get inundated with recruiters that are just eager to put you somewhere. Yep. So I guess I've taken that approach in, you know, corporate world, which has done me really well, and then I've brought the same approach into the world of crypto and Web3 and DAOs, which is, just imagine everyone's a volunteer that can leave at any moment, and it's your job to help them find the motivation to stay.
It's true. And like you said, it's just people have options now, so it is more compelling for companies to retain you and keep you and keep you excited for where you are and where you're going with the company. And now being in this industry, in the cryptocurrency industry, can you imagine if your life wasn't involved in cryptocurrency? What would your life look like if you just never even, last time you saw Ethereum or Bitcoin, whatever, you're just like, not for me. I'm going to continue with my life. What would that even look like for you?
Yeah, I don't know. It never lasts for long. I've sort of had times in life where I've kind of deliberately said no to a bunch of things and carved out space, but it never lasts. I'll see something else new and I'll get dragged into it and I'll fill it up quickly. So if it wasn't this, it would be, who knows, something else new and exciting that would become something to get obsessed with.
Space, travel, all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like through COVID and lockdowns and everything, I started a YouTube channel about cycling and learned all about recording, audio and video and editing and So there's always
I need to give a link to that cycling channel then. Okay.
No one wants to see that. Like, don't want to see a middle-aged man.
I appreciate the video editing and recording and all that stuff. It's not easy. I mean, I've had so much technical troubleshooting to get this setup working properly, and I'm still like figuring out ways like, my audio could have been way better, or I could have totally made a different edit. So
yeah, well, my lighting's all off. I've got like a light ring that just decided, I think the globe went literally just as I turned it on to come and talk to you. So that's frustrating.
Right. I forgot to turn mine on too. I was like, oh shoot, but thankfully I got some light. Oh man. So I guess my last question would be, what is your favorite wholesome crypto moment?
Yeah, so through HumanDAO, I got asked to present to a group of students at a university in the Philippines, and they were studying like computer science and technology, but hadn't really gone down the rabbit hole of Web3 and DAOs and potential opportunities in that space. And they just invited me to share, almost like today, kind of share some of the opportunities I've found and the journey that I've been on, even though it's really short, it's still less than a year. But just the questions that came and the energy and the enthusiasm, like this is the new generation of people that are going to be working in the space, and they just can't wait to get involved. And it was just, they were just so ready to embrace it. And you see a lot of negativity around crypto. I think there's a lot of narratives that are attractive, that are more negative. But when you explain it to people and they see just what it can do for them and their friends and for the world, then I can see their faces light up and thinking about what their future is going to be. It's just amazing.
That is amazing, and that, I guess, like from us in the States and for Australia, I'm sure monetary transactions and the value of our currency is pretty trustworthy. We don't expect it to go anywhere. I mean, most of the world uses the dollar anyways as their backing currency. But in countries like Philippines and other places in Asia and South America and Central America, having a different form of a global economy, a global currency where they can actually work and benefit from and not have to worry about the stability of it. I mean, I know crypto is volatile, but it's actually more stable than some other countries' currencies. So it's like, it's volatile, but as first world people, we haven't experienced that kind of dramatic change, then unless we put ourselves into it, which is crypto. But having that accessibility is huge. And like you said, their eyes light up with opportunity. Wow, I can work as what I'm passionate in, which could be art, or it could be editing, it could be programming, and it can affect people all over the world. And I can still use that monetary gain for myself, and hopefully it also increases as an asset. It's like a lot of wins for them, and the risk is worth the reward. Whereas for people, like, again, like the negative narratives are like, oh no, like why would I ever use crypto over the dollar? Like the dollar is not that volatile, but crypto, you can lose everything. Like all the NFT stores are being hacked and this and that. It's just like, for first world, it's like easy to think of that way, a negative narrative, but there's a lot of positive that's coming out of it.
Yeah, I mean, you can be critical of things like play to earn and the economics around something like Axie Infinity, but we know stories from the Philippines where there was a typhoon that went through in December last year, and we had members of the HumanDAO community that their homes were destroyed, their families were displaced, and they were able to access this stream of income and turn that into, real world money that helped them rebuild homes and buy food and buy medicine and keep their families alive and warm and fed. As you say, I think people tend to get, we get stuck in our own little bubbles, particularly in more stable Western countries. But yeah, there are people for whom even just a few dollars can make all the difference. So I think, there's so many opportunities for crypto to come in and be that bridge and really help them find that stability and freedom.
I love that. Yeah, exactly. Give that public good and help everyone else in the world. Well, thank you, Adam, so much for joining me today. I mean, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you for supporting the industry, but also supporting people who really benefit from this. And thank you for spending all your extra time working on these side projects, because it is going noticed and it is appreciated. And I'm glad to be able to share what you're doing.
Yeah, no, thank you. I really appreciate it. I think particularly things like HumanDAO, when you're sort of sharing a positive story, it doesn't necessarily get all the attention, but we just kind of keep showing up every day and trying to do the best that we can. So I really appreciate people like yourself that are taking the time to share those good stories with the world.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.